Hello, so welcome to the stream. As you can see, I've got the M17 on with the chemical hood. Let me just see if I can get the background. There we go. So it shows pretty much everything in frame. So I think this is the first time I've ever successfully got all the chemical hood and the outserts on the M17. But at least it's a lot easier doing it with an M17 than a communist M17 clone. All right, Daniel, how are you? Was it you, Daniel, that was going to set up a Discord at some point? Because you donated on Patreon. Hopefully it was you. I can't remember, but sorry about that. But let me know as soon as you've done that, and then I'll PM you a link. So I got Discord working fine on my PC now as well. Yeah, the M17 is quite cool. As much as I have, lots of complaints about cheap filter masks, this is quite a cool. Yeah, cheers. I'm going to, at some point, put that one up and the skull and crossbones signs and another one, but what I'm going to do is probably just nail them into the wall rather than drilling them in, because these walls are actually better with nails than drilling in. So the only problem with this is you can't adjust the straps properly underneath when you've got this on, so I can't really tighten the mask properly. All right, cool, Daniel. Yeah, as soon as it's set up, just send me a message on Patreon and then I'll sort you out your invite code. Because sometimes Discord code's expired, the issue is if I send you a code now, it might not still be valid by the time it's set up. Yep, M17A2, right, James? It's about 28C in my room, so I don't actually want to keep this on all that long. But this is the first ever time I properly got round to setting it up with putting the outserts over the chemical hood and getting the chemical hood all in position. So as you can see, it's properly fitted to the mask. Although annoyingly, although saying that, you can do this, can't you? I was going to say, the issue I'm having at the moment is I don't think I've got some straps on the M17 done up tight enough. So what I just want to do now is, there we go, just get those nice and tight. I think it's the two top straps are a bit loose. Let's just do this and then I can get at those. Yeah, definitely the top two straps there, not tightened at all, that's the issue. Right, that's better. Okay. Now, if I put this back over, there we are. The mask's actually a lot more comfortable on my face because it's pulling up rather than just sagging down. I'll have it on for the start of the stream, then I'll take it off because I have got some alcohol and Fanta to drink, so I'll drink some of that once it's been on for a while. I'm all right, Deltade, thanks. I hope you had a nice holiday. Right, see you, General, if you're off. GP5 has got 2 GP5s and 2 GP5Ms. But that isn't covering any of my other Shum series masks. I think it might be quite good to get Bart for merch to do a picture of the M17 with the chemical hood on, because I do think it looks quite cool with all this gear on. Especially because this is the one, obviously, you can zip up and everything at the front. Just trying to get that so it's sort of tight enough on the hood so it doesn't look all creased. There we go. Yeah, don't forget to like the stream, everybody. Although there's been quite a lot of likes so far, 14, which is good. If I remember right, the M17's voice diaphragm is quite good. Let me know in the comments how well you can hear it. If I remember right, these US-style voice diaphragms are pretty good. It's the same type the Israeli masks and everything else you use. Cool. Regular OM14 or the MUA version with a voice diaphragm? Oh, that's good. But yeah, I remember that the M17 has quite a good voice diaphragm. But yeah, I think the M17 is actually pretty comfortable when you've got it all done properly. But the problem is, I've done a video, but it's not live yet. I've said that I think I gave the M17 too much hate in the past because I judged the M17 based on some of the really bad communist clones of it. And while, there's still a lot of disadvantages to a cheek filter mask, the actual M17s are pretty good. Whereas a lot of things like the Czech M10s are almost worse in every way. Cool. I mean, you'll get round to doing a lot of masks eventually. It's just judging how many people want at the moment. But yeah, I think he's going to do XM28 next, he said. But It'd be quite cool to have an M17 with the chemical hood as well. All right, cool, just a regular on-14. Right, I'll tell you what, I will take this off now, just because, as I said, it's very sweaty, and I bet I'll get a rash if I keep this on. Let's just undo this bit first, because it's got a little bit of Velcro that goes across there. There we go. Get that up to there. Then we pull that back. I can undo the straps. Let's do that. There we go. Let's pull that up. Probably see on the webcam I look quite sweaty. I feel very sweaty after having that on. But yeah, then if we pop this the right way round again. There you go. M17 with a chemical hood, which I think always does look pretty cool. Now let's just pull that so it's tight on that side, not flopping. There we go. Well, I can't afford to issue a standard mask to everybody in the UK, can I? But are you saying should the government do it? It depends. I don't think there's much need for civilians to have masks at the moment. I'm just going to get that sweat off my chin before it gives a rash. But yeah, I think in general, if there was a concept of like a need for one, the government should issue masks to civilians. Where it wouldn't need to be as good as an S10 though, because a GP5 style mask would be good for that. That awful one, about £5, I think. It wasn't very expensive. But yeah, it's good, isn't it, the M17's voice diaphragm in that sense that, like I said, I've done a video now where I get every single cheek filter mask I own and I go for all of them. And then the M17 is probably actually the best one. It's just an issue that, you know, Soviet PBF is pretty good as well. But, you know, the issue I think with cheek filter masks is, as much as there's problems with cheek filter masks, I think a big issue is obviously most of the communist copies of the M17 aren't as good as the M17. So you actually get more problems with those than you do with the original M17. I've got a few helmets stuck, not loads, but out of all my helmets, my favourite, in terms of modern ones, the Kevlar 3A Guardian helmet, which is the UK Armed Police's basically copy of a Pascut. In terms of old helmets, probably the East German M56. I'm sure there's already fashion brands that make camo in pink. I don't know what you mean by that. I mean, if it was for desert use, pink would actually work to an extent. Don't know. I might do a theme stream tomorrow or Friday. I don't really want to do another political one yet, because political ones cause a lot of arguments, but the UK is going through a bit of an interesting political thing at the moment. But for the next theme stream, I'd rather it be based on a certain type of equipment or something. Yeah, I'm all right, Jasmine. A bit hot. It's over 28 degrees in this room now. Tell you what, I'm going to turn this off just because this light heats the room up quite quickly. Right, Peach? What do you mean, snow gas masks? I don't think there's such a thing as a snow gas mask. You missed me wearing the M17 at the beginning, Peach. But yeah, it's so hot in my room that it gets very, very uncomfortable with one of these on for a while. Is Nell on? I didn't see now. Oh, yeah. Just now said hello. Well, hello to Peach right now. Oh, you saw it on the thumbnail, yeah. Just missed me wearing this mask in the beginning, Mike. The M17, I finally managed to get the hood on it, which was a bit of a pain in the ass because the hood obviously stretches over bits. And then when it's stretched over, the idea is it doesn't come off because, I mean, you can pull it off if you really wanted to, but the issue is that, you know, obviously it's designed to be a bit smaller than certain bits on the mask, so it won't come off accidentally. So you end up having to get a bit, you know, trying to pull bits. And this time I wasn't afraid of ripping it, and then it actually went on where I've never got it on before, because I thought, oh, I'm going to rip something, I'm going to rip something. Yeah, I suppose, what have you got, like a heat lamp or a thermal map from that Jasmine? But I know, yeah, like a lot of that can obviously heat the room up as well, can't it? No spoilers, Elliot, because I forgot the new series had started, and then I saw the end of an episode the other day, so I said to my parents, switch over the channel, I don't want to have spoilers. But yeah, I'll get round to starting to watch the new series. I don't know how many episodes of it have come out yet, but I did hear a couple of people saying, oh, Peaky Blinders is on soon, and obviously it was on the other day. But I think that's one of those series where the first couple of series I thought were really good, and then I think it's another set of series where it went downhill a bit. Is this meant to be the last series? Because if it's the last series, it wouldn't be too bad, but I don't want it to do a Game of Thrones thing where they drag it on and on and on that gets worse and worse and worse. Oh, so like big bulb heat lamps. Peach is being dirty as usual in the chat. But yeah, I reckon with those, Mike missed me saying this, but I reckon with this sort of shitty plasterboard wall, when I want to put that sign up, then the other sign, just need to be careful because my leg was caught on the cable of the headphones. When I also put this sign up, I reckon I'm going to put them on with nails, because I had to take some nails out the wall behind my monitor the other day, and I realised the nails stain a lot better than having raw plugs and screws for some reason. I think it's just literally because, obviously, what was I going to say? Because it's plasterboard, I assume nails come in without kind of damp. You know, if you hammer a nail in, I imagine it pierces better than if you use a drill to drill in, where often where I drill the plasterboard, like you get it kind of splintering along the plasterboard. A lot of the swords aren't stored in the room. If there's one you particularly want to see, I will get it out, but I'm not going to get loads out, because otherwise it's a pain in the ass after I finish the stream to clear everything up. So decide which of my swords you most want to see, and then I might get that one down for you. Or if it's one that's stored down there, you know, reach around there and get it. Yeah, it would look good for that, wouldn't it? Toxic dump. I think that's what a lot of people get them for, but I'm just going to see if I can fit it on the wall somewhere and then put it up there. Right, I'll go through all the swords I've got. I've got that arming sword, I've got the katana, I've got that saber, I've got a falchion, and I've got a rapier. And I've got a bokken, but that's obviously like a training sword, it isn't a live blade. I've got a load of machetes as well, but I can't remember where all those are off the top of my head, because some of them are like stored in the shed and stuff like that. Yeah, I've got the raw plugs aren't the problem, Mike. It just seems to be more a problem when I'm drilling to put the raw plugs in. More of the wall can come off than the size of the drill. So yeah, I'm thinking I might just use a load of small nails and nail up a load of stuff. Same when I've taken some nails out the other day, I realised how much better they'd gone in. And it's actually easier, in my opinion, if just putting up a couple of things to get a few nails and hammer them in, and, you know, getting all the drill out, putting a load of paper down so you don't get all like the plaster everywhere, you know, hoovering up afterwards. I reckon, yeah, if I was just to, you know, get like this, for example, have that there, and then just, you know, get some nails and hammer them in. I know that's a bit out of frame, but I reckon that would work a lot better. No, I quit smoking Avon years ago. Right, pop that down and... Oh, that's cool. Like the exact model, the simple wood one. Alright, you want to see the katana? Okay, we'll get the katana down. At least that katana doesn't really bump against anything. So if I want to get this down, it's quite easy to do. So there you go. Wooden scabbard. Long wavy blade. The Suba's got butterflies on it. I think that's meant to be. Yeah, it is meant to be butterflies, I think. Yeah, it's butterflies. So obviously, if you were to grip it properly, I think you'd do that, wouldn't you? If you were just to use it like a European saber, you could just hold it like that. But no, it's not German camo, it's Belgian camo. It's Belgian jigsaw. And I've got, where my shorts are faded, they're actually all right looking, right? If you search Belgian jigsaw camo, you'll notice that it's generally like bright pink and really bright yellow. But where mine's faded, it's more like a rust brown and sand yellow. So it actually would work better as camo. No, it's just a modern one, Badman channel. It's not an old katana. It's made to like proper katana standards, but it's I think it's called Sohei, like Sohei. I'm pretty sure they're just a Chinese company that makes katanas to, like Japanese old-fashioned standards. But obviously it's modern. It's quite well built for what it is, but I got it very cheap in the Blades and Bows closing down thing, or just before they did the closing down sale, where if you were to get these, I think for the RRP, I think they're about £100, but I got mine for about £30 to £40, which isn't bad at all. It actually handles very well. I've got very little complaints with it. I covered some of the little minor things with it in the video I did on it, but overall you could do a lot worse than this. Yeah, I've got a glue gun. Don't know where it is. I haven't used it in years, but we have got a glue gun somewhere. It's that 95% Polish vodka mixed with Tango. No, sorry, not Tango. Fanta Orange, is it? Or it might be Tango. I can't remember. One of those sort of orange lemonade-y kind of things. So I filled it up to about that much with the 95% grain alcohol vodka stuff. And then obviously the rest of it's just a bottle of, not bottle, like a can of Fanta or whatever. Is that the GP5 SCP? As I've said, I'm not into SCP stuff. I only really know about the older SCP things, like the statue that kills people. I'm not a massive fan of white rum. I like spiced rum and dark rum with Coke or cream soda. That's nice. Yeah, everything that's enjoyable is bad for you, Jasmine, so I don't really care, to be honest. Thank you for your concern. I don't want to sound like a dick, but drinking's bad for you, smoking's bad for you, or I've quit smoking now. Eating fatty food is bad for you, eating sugary food is bad for you. Isn't eating toast that's slightly burnt bad for you as well, they said? Eating pork, that's bad for you, isn't it? Let's go through some of the other things that are bad for you that everybody does. Yeah, but then if you don't eat meat, you're probably not going to get all the right vitamins and everything, are you? Because I've seen a lot of vegans that are quite unhealthy. I know some vegans that are all right because they eat quite a good supplemented diet, but you get other vegans, don't you, that don't eat any sort of thing that has the right proteins and nutrients in, and they end up looking like skeletons. Yeah, exactly. Wearing old filters is bad for you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think they said something like it's slightly carcinogenic burnt toast, but literally, who cares? It's because when you end up getting all this science stuff where they say this gives you cancer, that gives you cancer, this other thing gives you cancer. I think it literally gets to the stage where you don't take any of it seriously because everything's going to give you cancer. You think, well, all right, then I'll just enjoy myself. Yeah, exactly, Peach. You can get prostate cancer from that, can't you? Not prostate cancer, testicular cancer. I didn't say vegetarian, Blood Hunter. I said vegan earlier, which means no milk, no cheese, no fish, no honey. But again, it depends, because if you actually research your diet, I think you can have diets without meat or animal produce in that are actually quite healthy. But the problem is you get a lot of people who decide to do a vegan diet and they don't research it, and all of a sudden, they're in massive health problems because they're not getting it like any protein or fat or anything. They are just literally getting fiber from like vegetables. Yeah, breathing underwater is bad for you. Well, the thing is, Richard, 100% of people that breathe air die, and 100% of people that drink water die. So I think both those things are bad for you. So, there's a lot of things that I reckon, people should be mindful of. Yeah, I still vape. So yeah, I've quit smoking, but I vape. I've got a bit of nicotine and CBD in this one. The other vape I've got's just got nicotine in. But there was a period where I didn't smoke or vape or anything. But with my ulcerative colitis, as I've said quite a few times, nicotine's actually helpful for that. No, I'm not going to vape indoors, bad man. And the problem is if I vape and then talk, my voice goes really deep for a moment, which means it's not very good when you're trying to chat to people on the stream. Well, main reason, Jasmine, 2 reasons. It's expensive and it's bad for you. So, they're 2 good reasons to quit. Thing was, I didn't smoke very much anyway. So it just made sense to me to think, right, I'm just not going to buy anymore. Yeah, the thing is, Mike, I generally go for quite long periods where I don't drink. So this is the only alcohol I've had today, and I won't have any alcohol after the stream either. And quite a lot of days of the week, I don't drink at all. Because obviously I've known people who've been alcoholics and stuff like that. I'd never want to get to that level. But yeah, sometimes I will literally go months and not touch alcohol at all. It depends if I'm feeling like having a drink or not. Yeah, I've got some cigars still in my drawer that I never got round to smoking, and they're still there, in case you don't believe me. Let's get the big wooden box out. It's probably buried in there a bit. Hang on, let me just move the bin because it's blocking the drawer from opening. There we go. See, I've still got them. I've had them in there for like 2 years, and I've only ever had 2 because I think it wasn't long after I got these before I quit smoking. What, a cigar peach, do you mean? Yeah, I know. When I went to Poland, I brought loads of vodka back just because, again, yeah, it was so cheap. You get 500 millilitres bottles for, what would be the equivalent of £5 or less in the UK. So I ended up just buying a load to put in my luggage and my dad's luggage just so it would last ages. The best cigar I had, bad man, was Romeo and Juliet one, which I had for my 21st birthday. But as said, I've quit, so don't know if YouTube would be very happy if I started sending cigars to people. I'm sure that would breach their terms of service. Did you get the email? I know you're demonetized anyway, Mike, but did you get that email today where they said about changes to their monetization policy? And they were whinging about alcohol, tobacco, weapons, guns, medication, and all that sort of stuff in the things that you're not allowed to monetize. And I thought, Jesus Christ, this list is just getting longer and longer and longer and longer of things they don't like. If you want, I can read you some of the bits in there. Just give me a second. Let's see. Right, here's the things which they're going to restrict: sexual content, shocking content, explosive guns, gun parts and related products, other weapons, tobacco, recreational drugs, alcohol sales and misuse, online gambling, prescription drugs. So why didn't they just put all drugs? Because if prescription drugs are in there and recreational drugs, that's purely all drugs, isn't it? And unapproved pharmaceuticals and supplements. So yeah, there you go. That's their increased list of bad things. The thing is, I don't know how much that's going to affect anything, because as you can see, a lot of that might apply to my sort of stuff. But they've done things like that before, and then they've never bothered demonetizing a lot of stuff, so who knows? It would be the same answer I always give, the Avon CT12. Yep. Just have to rename myself to Tools and stuff. No, I was reading out YouTube's policy drive floor. Weren't you listening? Because it was just drugs in their things of things they want to stop people talking about. The thing is, though, why doesn't it just say all drugs? Why does it say illegal drugs, legal drugs, and then legal drugs of another type? That's what's just ridiculous about it. They could just say drugs altogether, but they're like, no. It's like you can talk about drugs, but you can't if they're in any of these categories, which is every category. Nerf gun community doesn't like me because apparently you're not allowed to call them Nerf guns, they're Nerf blasters because a gun would imply it's used for violence. I wish I was making this up. Yeah, tools and stuff and tool collection. Well, I do know that annoys a load of people, but I do think that, yeah, maybe I ought to do one of those every now and then just to say to YouTube, look, this is content that can't offend anybody. Well, yeah, every helmet pretty much from your own country costs less in that country. So if you wanted to buy a Mark 1 or a Mark 2 Brody, Mark 1s I'm not too sure about, but Mark 2 is in the World War II Brodies. Generally like 20 or 30 pounds if you find someone selling it for a decent price. Yeah, this is the interesting thing, isn't it, ADG? It's like where there's all this thing where people have been debating this, is at what point does YouTube having a monopoly on the video sharing sort of services on the internet mean that they ought to be regulated not as an independent company, but, you know, have the monopoly laws applied to them? Because there's no other video sites basically that people can upload to that are anywhere near the scope of YouTube. There's a lot of debate into this now. I think it's very interesting why there's all this Slingshot channel stuff with that union now that I'm following with quite a lot of interest. But I don't know if you've seen, YouTube's been a bit sneaky with that because they're still, although the time's not run out on it yet, they're still refusing to go and talk to that union. But at the same time, they're trying to kind of pass off a load of the changes the union wanted as their own policies. Right, least of my favourites. My favourite mask in my collection is the Avon CT12, just because it's comfortable and I think it looks cool, and it's a 40mm mask. My least favourite mask in my collection is probably my Chinese pewter mask, whatever it's called, because it straps ping off all the time. It's made from a shit rubber that can't even hold the weight of a filter properly. I'm not going to get it out now, Badman. Us talking about various things, young railway enthusiast. You can come back and hear it if you watch the stream after it ends. We talked about quite a few things. The weird thing is with China is there's some very good quality Chinese gas masks, and then there's some that are awful. Which one's the cool hat, Jasmine? I don't know which the cool hat would be off the top of my head, because I've got quite a few helmets and hats. The metal bits on the GP5 and the GP5 filters have lead on, as far as I'm aware, yeah. No, saying that, Mike, I don't think I've seen him for a few streams. Let me search Lithuanian M67 guy, because I don't know which mask that is off the top of my head. Oh, I'm getting the Hungarian M67 and the M76 come up. but I can't find anything for a Lithuanian mask. Yeah, don't breathe the paint on your GP5 filter in then, Nautilus. The fireman's hat's still in this room. Oh, for the Polish viewers that are on, what does the label say if it shows up on the camera? Don't have to translate all of it, just what's the general thing it's saying. That's the wrong way again, isn't it? It's just literally fireman's helmet or fireman's hat. Okay. Nothing special then. I was hoping it had like a clever, cool name. But there we go. Right, there we go. I'm pretty sure this is plastic, actually. But a lot of nations use plastic fireman's helmets, so there we go. Oh, does it just say plastic on there? Well, what I'll just do is when I do the video, I'll just clearly show both sides of the label when I take the label off of the liner, and then I'll just make sure I keep the label rather than binning it. Why is it a fake helmet then, even though it's clearly got an old weathered label in it? What game are you playing? So yeah, let's have a look. The people who made this fake helmet, right? What they've done is they've got the exact liner from the old commie helmets in there, the same type Poland used on all their military helmets, and they've artificially got a weathered old label in here, look, because you can see the colours off on the label where it's old and it smells. So they've faked that label pretty well, haven't they? Oh, and they've also faked the stamps on the label. I think it's a delusional person in the comments, to be quite honest. But yeah, this is the exact same strap system as that Polish WZ50 I've got. You know, the SSH40 clone. The S10 is good. I like the S10. It's not the best mask ever, but the S10 is pretty damn good, yeah. I've done a lot of videos covering that Just Ink, so I'm not going to go over all that again, partly because I'm going to have to think and I'll miss a load of other comments. Oh, that's the one off Scotland, isn't it, Dry Floor? I'm pretty sure it's safe to go there again now, isn't it? I think people are saying it's to stop stuff hitting your neck. Lots of firemen's helmets have a bit round the neck, either a bit that goes down like that or a bit like that. Yeah, I have a Discord for supporters, as in people that donate me money, not for random people. Yeah, that's very good then for you. I mean, technically, S10s are worth more than FM12s now, just because they're rarer and there's more FM12s around. But personally, so just one of those plastic tags there. Look, that's sort of funny. But yeah, personally, I'd pay more for an FM12 just because they're better masks. Yeah, as Dom says, it protects the neck. And a Killer Pac-Man says, if you want to get a Soviet SSH-40 helmet, I don't know what country you're in, but currently in the UK, a UK surplus seller has the Polish WZ50, which is just a copy of the SSH-40 in for like £12, £13 in very good condition. They always notice the L1A1 at the back, but normally they say, what's the gun in the back? I do like 2 or 3 different things, Badman, but YouTube's one of my main sources of income, yeah. Yeah, it's not a Lithuanian mask, it's a Hungarian mask, guy. It's a Hungarian civil defense mask from the Cold War. And yeah, it's not a very good mask. It looks cool, but it's not very good. Not really a killer Pac-Man, because my channel's not about cooking stuff, is it? And we had this conversation like 5 minutes ago in the stream. M17A2 with the chemical hood on. Well, pretty much weapons, militaria, civil defense stuff. Yes, Badman. Oh, and lighters as well, but that's completely on a different tangent. Depends on the type of tea. If it's green tea, no milk. If it's Earl Grey, a little bit of milk. If it's a regular cup of tea, a little bit more milk, but still not much milk. If it's other kinds of herbal tea, I don't add milk either. No, Mark 6 is a shit. Don't bother getting. A Mark 6A is technically all right. But the Mark 6 is heavier and offers less protection than most old steel pot helmets. So yeah, for a third of the price of the Mark 6 helmet, you could probably get a Soviet SSH-40 helmet, and that would give you more protection, and it weighs less. Still got the Torjet lighters on my shelf, because a lot of people say, oh, they break after by owning them or refilling them once, but I can assure you. There we go. Yep, they still work. So yeah, for the people who say these are crap lighters, they seem alright, especially because they're dirt cheap. Alright, yeah, well, pretty simple. Turn it upside down, get the butane can, do that with the butane can into the bottom of the lighter. Alright, Slingshot Warrior, you've changed your picture. Assume you mean a katana, not a katana, but somebody asked me to get it down, so I did. I think that's 11:30 now, Mike was saying earlier. Lots of nations adopt equipment that's shit, even though it's shit. So I don't know. Maybe there was a bribe to do it. Maybe they thought it would be better than they did. I don't know, but it's shit. In hindsight, we know it's shit because there's videos of Americans who shoot the weakest possible guns at it and it goes straight through the helmet. As in, I think Richard, when he's on, was saying that a 22 long rifle will fully penetrate the front of the helmet and 9mm rounds will go through the front, your head if it was in it, and the back of the helmet without having any issue. You never thought the British system was corrupt? You must be very new here. Yeah, the Mark 6A is all right because it's actually Kevlar rather than ballistic nylon. But yeah, if you were going to wear any old helmet, I would definitely advise getting a steel pot over a Mark 6. Because, weirdly, the Mark 6 is actually way more than steel helmets, but they offer you a lot less protection. Anyway, I'm going to take this off now because it's not very nice having a leather strap around my neck with it being so warm and sweaty in the room. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, for those of you asking about a helmet, there's a Polish fireman's helmet. I don't know, I still like wearing a helmet this way around more, I reckon. Where you've got like that as a visor. Because then it looks a bit more like a conquistador helmet, doesn't it? But yeah, I do know like what people are saying it's technically meant to be the other way round, but I don't know, I think it looks a bit cooler this way. I don't know, because this is just plastic, so it may not, but like saying the Mark 6 is ballistic nylon. I think in theory they thought it'd work well because ballistic nylon is obviously stronger, especially when it's thicker than certain types of steel. Because ballistic nylon was what was used before Kevlar and a lot of body armor kind of things, like flak jackets. But I guess they just didn't put enough ballistic nylon in, and it wasn't a shallow enough angle that, you know, when rounds hit it, I imagine they just managed to penetrate it really easily. No, my M65s don't have crooked lenses unless you put a load of weight on the mask and don't store it properly. Not for knives, no. I've got those 2 grenades there. I've got 3 more grenades coming, but it was because Bart ordered me to buy. Not ordered me. Bart paid me to order a grenade for him, so I've got 2 coming for me technically, which are those Hungarian stick grenades that are a bit like the Nazi German stick grenades, just £10 each, not like £150 each. So because it would cost him postage as well if he ordered it, he just gave me like the grenade plus a bit of money towards the postage. Aren't the Virtus helmets just Cobra helmets? But again, no different than the US Pascat helmet, really. And again, you'd think with the Mark 7 being in service there, it's a bit pointless to pay a load of money just to replace them with a Pascat, because the Mark 7s are only just not quite as good as a Pascat helmet. But really what Britain should be doing, and obviously we don't have the money or the inclination to do it, but we should be getting thermoplastic helmets like America's using now, or putting into production now, which are essentially lighter than Kevlar helmets and offer greater protection. But of course Britain wouldn't do that, we'll just buy other countries' gear. No, I'm not a cat, Kira. D&B Militaria, same place I got the deactivated guns from. I actually think Brody helmets look better than the Mark III helmets. Again, Brody helmets did their job in World War I and World War II, which was to protect the user from shrapnel from shells exploding above them. Yeah, I've been to Finland and Norway, but not Sweden. Depends completely on your budget, Dom. If you can order stuff from China, it might just be cheaper to buy like Chinese TF1s or a similar mask, because they'll take 40mm NATO filters and they're pretty cheap. Well, Africa's a continent, not a country, Kiro. So it depends on the country in Africa, but I've got no problem with Africa, just like I've got no problem with anywhere else. Is that the Pascat Marsh Metro? Let me look it up. M88 helmet. Yeah, that's the Pascat. Yeah, as I was saying before, Pascat's a very good helmets. I've got a Pascat copy. The one the British Armed Police use, which is the best helmet I've got in terms of physical protection. Ideally America, Jasmine, but let's say I couldn't go to America or anywhere in like the American continent, and it had to be somewhere in Europe. As much as I can't speak the language, maybe Hungary and Poland, or Hungary or Poland. Sorry, it's not the same country. I'm not going to answer a question like that, bad man, because that's a bit offensive, isn't it? Saying what's my least favourite country, and I genuinely wouldn't know, because I don't sit around going, what countries don't I like? And unless I've been to every country, I can't really form a valid, thing about a lot of countries, can I? But, probably, baby, I don't know. But they definitely had Stowhounds, M56s, and they had a load of other kind of hats, but right, you're getting a timeout, Kuro, for asking really weird questions. If you carry on, you'll just get a block. Yeah, personally, I wouldn't pay that stug. Can you get a deactivated Yugoslav machine gun? Because Yugoslavia at one point made a copy of the MG42. So if you can get the Yugoslavian copy, because I know in the UK at least, when there was the deactivated Yugo copies of German World War II guns, the Yugo ones were really, really cheap. And at some point, I did think about spending a couple of £100 for a Yugo MG42 copy, and I never did in the end, just because I thought it'd be quite hard to store it. It totally depends on opinion, Bandman. Like I like Springers and gas rams, but some people prefer PCPs. Most people agree that YRAUK, whatever they're called, the HW air guns, are very, very good. But I don't personally have any. I've only got 2 air rifles. I've got a Crossman Nitro Venom, which needs a serious repair, and I've got a what's the other one? A BSA Hornet, which is basically just a Gammo Hornet because BSA is owned by Gammo, and that's pretty good for how cheap it is. Yeah, thanks, Mike, for pointing that out. Yeah, because I did all the unblocks people had asked for on Mike's video, but we're not doing any more on that, just because it's been months since he did the video, and I said to people I do an unblock amnesty. So obviously for the people that have been unblocked, you're unblocked now, but anybody that gets blocked from now on, they're not going to be able to go on there and ask for an unblock. That's not too bad, actually, for a British civilian duty mask Avon. I think mine's in my room, so let me just see if it's somewhere I can conveniently get it, and then I'll show it you. I think that's one I just store behind my bed. Yeah, I do. Right. I could do with giving this mask a bit of a dust, and I'm not going to breathe through this for obvious reasons, but you mean this mask, don't you? The one you saw probably had a black flapper valve on it, not a red flapper valve from a children's Mickey Mouse mask, but yeah. I paid like £40 for these, but obviously in the UK these masks end up being a bit cheaper than elsewhere because this is the country they were made in. But yeah, these can go for quite a lot, especially if they're in good condition. So £65 certainly wouldn't be unreasonable for one of these. But yeah, I'll put that away again in a minute. But no, I'm not a prepper. There's certain things that if they happened, I might be better prepared for than people who don't prepare for anything, but I'm certainly not a prepper, as I've gone into dozens of times before. But if you're new to the channel, obviously you wouldn't know that. But Suzuki, if I'm pronouncing your name right, I have probably over 130 masks, and I don't bother counting them anymore. Well, I can put that on as long as I don't breathe through it, because the filter doesn't magically attack you if you put the mask on. It doesn't like go onto your face like that. It's harmful to breathe through the filter. Blades and bows before they shut down. Never been fishing, David. Don't have a problem with it, but I've never been fishing. Because in the UK, you have to have a bloody fishing license. Unless you're fishing on private land, you actually have to like pay a license, because UK license, of course. I don't think they're too expensive, but it's like one of those licenses every year you have to renew, or every couple of years you have to renew, so I'd have no interest in it. As I said the other time in the stream, like I think it was literally yesterday when that got asked, Marsh Metro, I prefer the Polish Fu-1 suit. British Mark IV suits are all right, but again, they're nothing special. Polish Fu-1 suits are very nice, but considering I think the RRP at the moment on like eBay for the Polish suits is like 5 or 6 times the price of Mark IV. I don't think they're 5 or 6 times better than Mark IV, but B Store sent me one for free, so you know, for free, it's pretty damn good. But we were chatting about this on one of Weapon Collector's streams the other day. It depends if you've got enough time and inclination to sort of sit around having a relax with a fishing rod in your hand. Because fishing isn't like one of those high sort of intensity sports, is it? Because a lot of the time you're going to be just sat there waiting for something to bite the line. I don't think this one actually does. Yeah, because there's nothing taped on, is there? You'd see it there if it was there. Some of my British World War II masks have those, but this one doesn't actually have one strapped on. Yeah, if you search my channel, Blood Hunter, I've got one Japanese mask, but it's in awful condition. It's a World War II Japanese mask. But it's one of those masks that even if I get out to show it, it's going to disintegrate more. So what I really need to do is actually just find somewhere I can put that mask and never touch it now, because it's just one that literally the rubber is so old and like brittle on it that every time you handle the mask, more and more of it just disintegrates. Yeah, I know, bad man. I'm just saying, personally, I don't think it would interest me all that much. But, you know, for the people who enjoy it, that's absolutely fine. I'm just saying, for me, it's not really my thing. Yeah, that's the exact one you said you found in your loft, Mike. Your one would have probably had the black thing there, because for whatever reason, they must just have run short when they did this one of the black nose pieces, so they put the red one on from the children's Mickey Mouse masks. But yeah, it's the civilian duty mask that like air raid wardens and a lot of the territorial army were given. Or, you know, like Dad's army kind of thing, the Home Guard. Because my granddad says when he was in the Home Guard, before he ended up, in Royal Artillery during World War II, this was a mask he had, and then when he was in military service, he had the Mark V. It's actually the same face piece as things like the Mark V, because that's essentially got the Mark V's radio port thing there. It's just rather than having the exhale valve and then the hose connector there, like the Mark 4 and 5 do, it's just got the entire filter there, and then they added an exhale valve to that bit. I've seen them in museums before, baby, but I don't own one. As I've said, I'm not going to buy any World War I masks because I wouldn't be able to look after it properly. MC1 for obvious reasons, Mr. Cannoli, that it's replaceable with filters. Yeah, there's a video on it on my channel, Shao, so have a look. There's 2 videos, actually. One for a dust mask, one for a gas mask. Plenty of gas masks on eBay, as I get asked over and over again on every video and every stream. If it's a World War II mask, most aren't going to be in usable condition, though, just because they were never intended to last this long. Cool. Alright, I'm going to put this back now, just so I remember to do it. Just check this end of my pants against the wall. There we go. Although the shelf now needs to be moved slightly. It might be easier if I do this after the stream, because I don't want to knock a load of shit flying. Hopefully do. There we go. Up to you if you want to pay that. Personally, for a magazine, I would never pay that much money, but some people would. So it's really up to you. Yeah, I've got a Bokken. There's videos of me sparring with a Bokken, which are good for a laugh. I've got some NBC gloves and some cold weather mittens, and I've also got some like fireproof or very fire resilient gloves. But my coolest gloves, saying that, are probably my not arm police, the what's it gloves. Are they stored in this room? If they are, I can show you. If not, I can't. I've got some boxing gloves as well. No, I don't think I've got them in this room anymore, but somewhere I have got the I thought they were in this room, actually, saying that. But who knows where they are right at this moment, but somewhere I've got those riot gloves. They're probably my coolest gloves. They're basically gloves that have like the polycarbonate bits in and a really thick burn-proof leather that are designed for punching people basically and resisting knife attacks. As far as I'm aware, Rhodesia just bought other countries' gas masks. as they were a British colony up until the 60s or whenever it was, 50s or 60s, I can't remember exactly when, they would have had British military masks up until that point. And later on, if they had anything, they'd have just bought stuff from South Africa or Israel, because that was like their only allies at that point. But as far as I'm aware, Rhodesia never domestically made any gas masks. Just like with the guns and everything else, they just bought them from other countries or had what was left over from when they were a British colony. And I have no idea what Zimbabwe's got now. Probably just stuff sent to them by the Soviets or Chinese, I imagine. Yeah, riot gloves. They're called public order gloves, technically, because public order is the UK doublethink name for riot. Not comfortably, baby. You might be able to, but listen, I don't have that problem, so... I've not actually... I mean, I've got a DDR like NVA officer's coat, but I don't have one of those nice strict on East German cold weather coats. So I've got that really nice Repro West German one. That's quite nice. The like Swamp Town, whatever it's called, which is like Splinter. Have a look at my videos, Badman, and then you'll be able to find out exactly what I collect. Yeah, but it's a bit sinister, isn't it, calling that Avon? Because it's like saying, these are for your protection. When you say canisters, do you mean filters or the metal things the masks used to be sealed in? Russian Empire, like the carrying cases. If you mean carrying cases, my GM54, which is a West German copy of the GM30, has a metal carrying case. Also, I've got a Belgian World War II mask in a very similar to a German metal carrying case. If you mean filters, I have got my VM37 and VM40 both have the filters on. But, you know, you never want to breathe through an old asbestos-ridden charcoal filter from the 1930s or 40s. There's loads of good Western masks for collectors, not less. If you watch my videos, you'd know the ones I like and don't like. I've got a load of dust up my nose now from getting that gas mask out. No, technically, the Ministry of Defence sells some stuff on their website, but that's generally vehicles, because they sell a lot of Land Rovers and armoured vehicles on, because you can legally just buy a tank if you want to in the UK when the government is done with it. But in terms of stuff like surplus, generally what happens is the MOD or police forces or whatever sell it to companies which then sell it on a surplus, so that's how they make their profit. Like a company will give a massive lot order to the MOD or whatever, you know, like a bulk payment for a load and load of surplus, and then they sell it on, obviously making a bit more profit per item. But as far as I'm aware, the MOD and everything doesn't have a website where they just sell gas masks and stuff like that. Sometimes the MOD gets quite funny as well. There's this weird thing where quite often the Ministry of Defence will sell loads of stuff to the surplus sellers to sell on, and then they get funny when the surplus sellers sell it. And there's been a thing recently where a load of people have been saying that about body armor, like where the old surplus, like flak vests and like infantry body armor and helmets, goes onto the surplus market because the MOD have sold it to surplus sellers to sell. And then the MOD is going, oh, you can't sell that to the general public. Like, why the fuck did you sell it them then? Do what Canada does and destroy it. You know, if I don't want them to do that, but they have no right if they sell it to then complain when people sell it on. Can you just get another helmet, Prussian Empire, and then like cannibalize it for parts if you can find a similar enough liner? Yeah, apparently not, Alice. If you have a shotgun certificate, because tank guns are smoothbore, at least the UK ones are. Several people have told me in the comments that you can actually own a tank with a functioning gun. And you can buy the shells on a shotgun license as well. That's crazy. So yeah, they're very restrictive over certain rifles, and like handguns are outright banned for civilian ownership. But no, you can just buy a tank and on a shotgun license have a functioning tank gun, because why not? I had some chicken with garlic and honey sauce and some potato David for dinner. Then I had some amaretti biscuits afterwards. How much is it, Avon? Because this is obviously an M17A2. I'd say if it goes for less than £50, dollars, whatever it is in your currency, go for it. If not, I wouldn't really go for more than that. But M17A2s are worth owning. I work a sort of retail job, so for that reason, I'm not looking forward to Christmas. But in terms of seeing my family and everything, sure, I'm looking forward to Christmas. Yeah, I'd put up to like £50 on it before the bid ends, but I've already got an M17, so I don't need to. But apparently, I think people are saying you can get flamethrowers in the UK for certain gardening kind of stuff. But again, I have no need to own one of those, so I'm not going to get one. It's like when people keep asking me, why don't I get a shotgun license? It's like, I've got a gun safe. If I wanted to pay a load of money, I could get a shotgun certificate. But the issue is I've got nowhere to shoot it. So the police could come around my house and have a look around whenever they wanted to. I'd have to keep paying out for the shotgun certificate and everything, and I'd have no need for it because the shotgun would just be sitting there collecting dust. So hurricanes as in the plane, as in the Hawker hurricane, or hurricanes as in bad weather. We've had a few strong wind days, but never a proper hurricane. As in hurricanes, yeah, I've seen hurricanes and Spitfires now and then when they fly them for like memorial things. Favorite yearly holiday? Probably Christmas, to be honest. But the thing is, in my family, we don't do a lot of stuff for a lot of the, things like Easter nobody cares about. Halloween nobody cares about. Other than people's birthdays and like Christmas, nobody really cares much for a lot of things. Oh, right. I'll be going off fairly soon because Weapon Collector's going to be streaming. I think he said starting at 10. Probably autumn, Badman. Either autumn or winter. I like the weather a lot more when it's cold and not warmer. And the thing is, because in the winter, if you're cold, you can put more layers on. In the summer, if you're hot, there's not much you can do. In October, not less. So about a month and 3 weeks now. So 7 odd weeks to my birthday. I'll have to Google it to find out. But obviously, with all the Stowhounds, the last Stowhound design they came up with, apparently, if I search German M45s, there's some East German style ones coming up. Although technically, the East German ones aren't the German World War II ones, are they? It's more like the East German is an M54 helmet that was closer to the last-ditch German World War II helmet that never went into production, I think. Yeah, there you go. That's an endorsed message, by the way, and Mike's a mod. If it fits you, Avon, it's a good mask. If it doesn't fit you, not really, because it's not a very good peripheral seal on it. So it's one of those masks, if it fits you, it's a really damn good mask. If it doesn't fit you, it's next to useless. Cheers, Nautilus. I don't think that's the actual mod military stuff, is it, General? It's just a lot of South American countries have a lot of, like, German colonial kind of tradition things. So for military parades, they wear it, but for modern combat, they just obviously have modern helmets. The Polish MP5, though, Avon, is definitely a better mask than the M65, just saying. If you can get an M60, not saying, sorry, if you can get a Polish MP5 cheap. Soda with that much alcohol in it and 95% alcohol, yeah, it's pretty good, but I'm not really very drunk because I had quite a big dinner before I came on, so I don't think the alcohol is absorbing very well. What's M83? Is that the Swiss one? When I search Swiss Alpenflage is coming up. I only paid like £10 for my Swiss trousers and £10 for my Swiss shirt. And the nice thing is when I got both of them, neither of them were faded. Both were like in really bright kind of colours still, which was great. I assume when you say you'll be on till 10 p.m, might you mean you'll be on at 10 p.m? That's cool, Riley. I don't think it's a real mask. It looks somewhat peach, like a mix between an S10 and a US M40. Eyepiece-wise, it looks more like an S10. That bit kind of looks a bit like an S10 or an M40. I can't work out which. The nose bit, who knows? So yeah, I don't think it's a real mask, but it kind of, to me, looks like a weird amalgamation between a US M40 and an S10. I suppose it looks a bit like a Canadian C3 as well, doesn't it, actually, saying that? Yeah, I'd say, actually, Canadian C3. Yeah, Canadian C3. If you look up a Canadian C3, even though I don't think it's meant to be that, I'd say it looks more like that just because of how the voice diaphragm bit looks on the C3 with like the metal and mesh grid. What's an 08 then, General? Is that like a rare Polish mask? Oh, the Finnish grey uniform. Is that like the old Finnish World War II style uniform, or? I suppose it looks a bit like an M95, but personally I reckon a lot more like the C3 now. The bit around there, like the mouth bit, certainly doesn't look like an M95. Doesn't the M95 have triangular lenses as well? Let me have a look. Finnish M95 mask. Oh no, I suppose it's like, it's sort of weird part triangular, part circular ones, isn't it, on the M95 looking at it? But yeah, the bit there is totally different from an M95. And the lenses are different from an M95. So yeah, I think out of all of them, if you search Canadian C3, which I'm butchering the spelling of, I reckon it looks the most like a Canadian C3. Yeah, let me just link an image to one in the chat, if the image opens. Yeah, there you go. Right. Here we go. Open that link up, and then compare it to this. And I reckon the Canadian C3 is the closest thing to that, because it even has the triangular nose bit. So yeah, I reckon it's a Canadian C3 personally. I'm just clicking between them myself, but yeah. That's the closest mask, I reckon, out of any existing masks to it. Otherwise, it looks like an amalgamation between different masks. There's plenty of videos, baby, showing you how to do it on YouTube. Pretty simple. Bend them till they flex into position and let them unbend in a bit. I think if you really want to, there's a bit inside the GP5 you can take out, put the celluloid in, and then put that bit back on. What are you on about, Avon? Sorry. What about the Geiger counters, question mark? General's on about the old Polish MP6, not the modern one, but there's an old communist one. If I remember right, is that the one that's like a GP5, but with the MC1 sort of exhale valve system on, if I'm thinking of the right thing? Or is it still another one? Because there's quite a few different Polish prototype masks, isn't there? Inside, if they're on the outside, they're not going to do anything in purpose of anti-fog, are they? Because anti-fog stuff always has to be on the inside, because that's where the lenses fog up. Favourite revolver? Out of all the ones I know about, the Colt Python. Out of the two replicas I have, probably the old Griswold Confederate one. Anyway, I'm going to be going off in a minute. Oh, if somebody meant those, yeah, Geiger counters. Polish radiation alarm, Polish DP66M Geiger counter, mini monitor Geiger counter with the alpha probe next to two Polish copies of the Soviet F1 grenades. Probably watch Weapon Collector's stream, Badman. Yeah, the only AK bayonet I have, Peach, is the black East German AKM bayonet. Art's also got an AK bayonet, but he's got a Romanian one with a brown bakelite handle. Right, anyway, I'll finish the stream now. Thanks, everybody. It's been quite an enjoyable one. I'm going to put the M17 back in its bag now. I'll do that before I cut the stream off, just so you can see. I'm hoping it will fit back in its bag without me having to take all of this apart, because I'm going to be pretty annoyed if I have to take all the hood off and everything. Let's see. Will this fit into its satchel with the hood and everything still on it? So let me just put the hood inside the mask as much as possible to reduce the room it takes up, like that. Then let's see, will he go in? Oh, good, I reckon it will. Now let's just turn the mask at a bit of an angle so it goes down a bit better. Actually, I think, technically, if I turn it around this way, it will go down better than the other angle. Let's try that. Because it's one of those weird satchels that's not quite like an even shape. Look, see, it's got like a weird shape to the satchel. There we go. That's back in its satchel and it can go back on my shelf. Right. Yep, see you on Twitch at 10 then, Mike. Bye, everybody. See ya. If I work out where the end stream button is, and it's at the bottom now, isn't it? Because YouTube always changes the interface. Right, bye.